Good morning, 25th of March, and I'm another year older now. I'm feeling the pains. Today we will be mostly making Get Locky American Pale. If you've not tried it, it's 5.8 American Pale, bit West Coasty, lots of Cascade, a little bit of Citra. Only two malts in the grain bill, extra pale from Crisp, actually Clear Choice extra pale. And a little bit of Crystal 100, very tasty, and sort of caught me out a little bit. This was the special that we did for the King's Lock originally, and a couple of other pubs locally have picked it up now. And actually the pubs that we've not been successful selling cask beer to seem to have jumped on, so we're very grateful to them all. It's on at Bar 6 Sandbach, it's on at the Queen's Head, Congleton, it's been on at the Delamere Street Dog, and of course at the King's Lock. I'll tell you a bit more about the King's Lock at the end of the video because we've got a bit of an event there this Wednesday. So 25th now, so that'll be 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th. I better check that. I think it's the 29th, Wednesday anyway. Tap Takeover, please come down. All of our beers will be on, and I'll be there pretty much most of the evening from 6 onwards. Just come and say hello, we'll have a chat. Right, so on with the brew day, and there may be a special guest appearance from Mark Curly Roberts, my former next door neighbour, who has very kindly bought some beer. If he'd have asked, I'd have given him some. But if they want to give me money, I'm not going to say no. So this is brew 3 of Get Locky. The first one we overshot, only slightly, but we overshot the ABV a little bit. The second one I overcompensated and we undershot the ABV very slightly. This one is bang in the middle in terms of the grain bill. So we are, for this, weird number, 71.51 kilos of crisp Clear Choice extra pale malt. This clears like you wouldn't believe. Minimal finings. It just works. It's a couple of pounds more for a bag. But it's worth it not to have the faffing around. That's 2, so that's 50. Woo! I don't often put 3 full sacks in. Right, quick calculation. Calculator. 75 minus 71.51 equals, I need to take out 3.4 kilos. Okay, bingo. Okay, next. 4.76 Crystal 100. Right, that's 3.76. 1 extra kilo. 1. Let's give you a little look so far. So that's 71 point some crisp Clear Choice extra pale, 4.76 Crystal 100. Now we've got to make the water adjustments. So for this recipe we are looking at, what are we looking at? 65 grams of Epsom salt and 105 grams of gypsum. You know what I think we should use for this? We should use our Alchemist Brewery mug. Thank you, Martin. 65 of Epsom salt. 105 of gypsum. Might have to open a new packet here. It says here 317 litres, which sounds like a lot, but then this is not a regular brew. There's quite a bit more grain in. Typically for Mergy we're 60-ish kilos of grain and about 220 of water, so it's probably about right. Let's go 317. That's from the last run, 185. So if we go back and then into there, 317. We check we got the valves open there and open there, and then we check that one's shut, which it is. We're currently at 72.3. We want 65. I think we might be a bit warm, but we'll just start it running and see how we go. Right, that's loose enough. 206 litres in. So at this point, I don't obsess about the mash thickness, I do obsess about the temperature. So I'm just going to stop it temporarily at this point. We're 213 in. I'm going to stop it, give it a bit of a stir. That looks kind of 2 and a bit to 1 to me. Just get the heat stirred in and distributed, and then we'll do a temperature check. If we're too low, oh, a massive dough ball. If we're too low, then we can get some additional hot water in. If we're too high, we shouldn't be, but if we are too high, then we can add a little cold. But if we're too far out, it becomes a problem. You add too much cold, you end up with a too loose a mash. You know, I say I'm not obsessing, but there are limits. So this is currently 65.4. Let's check at the edges, because this ton's still going to be absorbing some of the heat. 63.7 in that corner. 66 where the hot water comes in. 64.65 bang on at the end, and right at the front we are 63.5. So I'm going to definitely put a bit more in. Of course, if the water amount is different, then the calculations that we've made for the post-mash gravity, which in this case should be 1072, will obviously change, because we're going to have less water in there, or more water, so the dilution will be different. I hope that makes sense. Whoa, we're getting very, very full there. There's no way I'd get 317 anyway. We're at 230 now, with about an inch to the top. So I am going to basically stop at that point. We'll let that temperature settle. Do another quick reading, which will be the reading for the brew sheet, and then in 8 to 10 minutes we'll check the pH. Make sure we're in range, and we always are. I guess it's a fact of just lucky recipe planning and the water that we have here. Right, I think that is enough stirring. Let's take a peep. So we are 65.3, bang in the centre. 65.3, 65.23. 65 at the front, final one 65.3 as well. So against the 65 target, I'm good with that. So we'll take off the fill head and then get the covers on. Okay, time 10:07. Late start today, 10:07. 1 hour, 11:07. See you then. 11:03. Let's take a look. If you've got one of these, automatic temperature compensation, it's rubbish. In here now it's about 8 degrees. So this is 8 degrees ambient. And you put your few drips of hot water on, it's supposed to sort of stabilize it all, but it's got to cool this chunk down from 8, or warm this chunk up from 8 degrees to 20, I guess, to get a sensible reading. So I tend to just warm it up in my hand for a minute or two, just to let it get somewhere near 20. I'm assuming it's calibrated at 20 anyway, thereabouts. We don't use this for HMRC. This is really just a guide. It's the final gravity once we're in the tank that really matters to the authorities. Let's see where we are. So we are currently we're well over 1065 now. 1066, 1067. What I need is 1052 into that tank, into that copper. So whatever it is, it is. I'm not going to start fiddling with it. We'll just put a little less sparge through. Maybe we'll be a few litres short. As long as we hit that 1052. Then with the yeast attenuation that I'm expecting, we should hit our final gravity and a 5.8 finished product. So it's actually sitting in the grain, so we can't start it yet, but within a minute or two, that'll drain down enough to start the hot liquor transfer from the tank, and that is 317 litres. Right, let's start the pump. Okay, transfer started. So I'm just going to watch the level in here now until this sparge arm is just above the level of the grain. I'll clean it off and start the transfer. In the meantime, I'm just going to set this to 317 litres. Just while we're transferring, you've seen the murgy in the glass, nice and clear. This is how it comes out of the fermenter. That's green. I mean, you can tell it's murgy. Well, that 2 week conditioning really does change it. It's a little bit more bitter right now than you would get in the pub, and certainly more cloudy. The brow sole really does a great job dropping that out. So for you home brewers, that's what you're looking for from the fermenter. Come on, Mark Curly Roberts, where are you? Someone's got to dig out for me. Where's my phone? Where is my telephone? Telefono. Every time. Probably go a bit faster. See, with us pumping direct, there is a risk. If the pump speed is a little bit too high, we are sucking on the grain bed and pulling all of the bits and bobs through it, sediment and things we want to really leave in the mash tun and feed to the cows. But too slow and we end up flooding out like that. It's probably just okay that. It's definitely not spinning quickly enough though for my liking. Let's try again. It's a balancing act. And as soon as these elements are submerged, then we'll get the power on, start getting it up to boil temperature. And that takes about an hour with a full tank. Curly's shovel. He doesn't know it yet. Okay, right, the elements have disappeared, so let's get some heat on. So that's it, all 4 elements on. Well, 3 on full because I've got no choice, and the 4th one with Martin's magical boilerizer is on 100% as well right now. I did notice last week I could maintain a boil with 1 and a bit, so that was 1 element on and Martin's box set to somewhere midpoint, which is great for power sharing, power saving. 12 kilowatts when they're all on. You know, 1 and a bit on is probably 4.5 kilowatts. Which is nice when it's on for an hour or 2. Well, an hour for sure on the boil. And action! Right, we are now at a boil, 30 minutes to go, and then we add the hops, the first chunk of a little bit of Citra, mostly Cascade, that'll be in a minute. Mash tun's drained down, but the grain's still in it. Mark, Curly, Roberts is here, and so is Sarah. Have you brought me some lunch? I've offered Curly the shovel. He's declined my offer because he's got his best shoes on. So unfortunately that won't be today. But what he has brought me, and I'll show you him in a minute because he's hiding behind the camera. What he has brought me is, because he knows we're setting up this little tiny tap here, I've got a last orders bell, or first orders bell, I don't know. Look at the size of that, I can't tell you how much it weighs. And I've got no idea how I'm going to suspend it from these very, very thin walls. But that is brilliant, so thank you very much, Mr. Roberts. No problem. What's for lunch? Hang on. You're both on it now. What have you brought me? You brought me ketchup?
Yeah, I didn't know whether you wanted it on
on my sausage putty. You know what I had for my breakfast? Sausage putty. And in here I've also got brown sauce. Yeah, HP, if you want to sponsor this video, let me know. Right, I'll get the hops weighed out. I'll have my sausage sandwich and we will resume in a minute. Okie dokie, Curly's gone. Sarah's gone. I've had my sausage sandwich, second sausage sandwich of the day. Thanks, Sarah. And we're ready for hops now. That is the 30-minute ping. Hops in. We'll stick it around there. Let them sink a bit. There you go. So that is 125 grams of Citra, 250 grams of Cascade. And for the second and final hop additions, same. 125 Citra, 250 Cascade, and the same. Ready to go in. So with the 15-minute addition, we'll get the Proto Flock in as well. In the meantime, I better dig this mash tun out that Curly didn't do. we'll go see the happy cows later. I kept talking to Johnny about doing a video, and we never got round to it, just to show the farm where the grain goes. I still don't know whether it's something you'd be interested in. Let me know in the comments. And if you are, we'll have a chat with Johnny and see if we can set something up. I'll take the camera down and show you life on the farm with a diet of crisp, Clear Choice Extra Pale, and occasionally as a special treat, a little bit of yeast. Right, that's as much as I can get out of there. Yeah, I've not seen Curly for a long time. We were just reminiscing a little bit from the good old days when we bought our first house, me and Sarah, and Mark and Jackie bought theirs next door. When life was go to work, go to the pub, repeat. Much more complicated now for everybody. Yeah. Good fun. Okay. Right, we are just reconnecting the pump. It's had a bit of a rinse through in the sink over there. We're going to reconnect and we can start to stick some boiling work through it just to get everything nicely sanitised. And obviously we need a hose long enough to reach fermenter 2 today over here. So we've got the pump from the outlet in the copper into the bottom inlet of the heat exchanger, through the heat exchanger, out of the top port of the heat exchanger, the blue pipe, which goes across the top of this kettle and down back into the copper. So all that's doing now is just passing boiling hot wort through and back in, sanitizing the pipe work, which is already cleaned, but now it's been scorched with boiling hot wort. 125 minutes before we add the final set of hops to the bag, and then we can start to think about dropping the temperature and moving it over to fermenter 2, which is over there, around the corner, over there, that one. And that pipe that goes over the top is actually long enough to reach, so we don't have to muck about. Almost there. Right, I'm going to get the cold water running first, stop the pump, and then we should be ready. Right, no hop stand with this one, which means we finish the day a bit quicker. We've got plenty of other little jobs to do. Just give the hop bag a little bit of a whiz around just to make sure we've agitated it enough. These bags are decent. You know, we don't have a whirlpool, so I can't really spin the hop residue into a neat little pile and take off on the side, because I also don't have a side port on these. So if I was to whirlpool, we'd have a perfect pile of hops right over the outlet, which obviously is not ideal. So beep beep, there's the alarm. Okay, we can start the transfer, I believe. Where's my spanner? There it is. transfer has started. So we're coming out of there at close to 100 Celsius, probably high 90s at this stage. I'll just get my little thermometer, suitably sanitized. And we'll take a look at what we're coming out at, which I think is probably going to be quite warm because it sounds a bit fast to me. 33 degrees, too hot. So we'll slow the pump down a little bit and then give it 20 or 30 seconds to adjust itself. 27, are we going down still? 26. $24. It's not instantaneous, obviously. I adjust the speed of the pump, and then it just takes a minute for everything to normalise. 22.6, 5, 4, 2. We'll get in there. This tank's 8 degrees as well, remember, so that's going to absorb some of the heat. And we're aiming for about 20, 21 pitching temperature. And at the same time, the water from the heat exchanger is coming back into the tank. We're currently here. And that will continue to fill until, hopefully, until we're done with the transfer. If we manage to fill it, then we need to dump some of the liquid, the water, return water, into the mash tun, which we'll then use for cleaning, etc. Okie dokie, gravity sample time. I hate this part because if it's wrong, we've got problems. Let's take the thermometer out for a minute because it's reading 19.9, so 20, good as. For now. Collect a litre. As I said, we are looking for 1052. Gah! 1051. So at 1051 we need good attenuation of this yeast. Let me do some maths. So right, maths is complete. So 1051 OG. If we get 86% attenuation from this USO4/WHC, then we're bang on. And I have been getting that sort of attenuation lately, particularly as we let the mash run the full hour and then a 45-minute transfer. Whenever I do that, I tend to get high 80s. So I'm good. I think we'll be close to the 5.8. What we need is happy yeast. Happy yeasts. I've certainly prepared them a wonderful meal for the next few days. All right, we are at 18.4 degrees going in. We're about, sensors about there, we're about 2 inches below it, so I won't turn on the Inkbird until then, and we'll get an idea of what temperature we're in at, whether I need to speed the pump up or slow it down a little bit. And it's 2:52 p.m. Not bad, considering the late start that we had. Not bad at all. All right, we are transferred. We've got one tank of about 340 litres of Get Locky at 10:51 as discussed. Currently at 20.5 degrees against a target of 19. You can probably hear the coolers chugging away there, just trying to bring that down. Doesn't really need to, but we'll let it do its thing. Additionally, we are having a good clean now, so with some of the cooling water which we were putting back into the HLT, I've just captured some of that into the copper, put some caustic in. That's currently doing a circuit through the pump, through the heat exchanger, through the pipe and back in. In a few minutes we'll transfer that to the mash tun, dilute and dispose. Then we'll flush it all through with rinse water, and we're ready for next brew, which I think is next weekend. Moss and Dragon, if my mental picture of the schedule is correct. Tomorrow we're back here. Well, tomorrow for me, but probably right now for you. We're back here to rack the contents of that. I think we're going 10 casks and 6 casks worth of bottling. I've got 500 bottles in the car. Sorry, pickup now, isn't it? Not a car anymore. I've got 500 bottles in there, which I collected from Staffordshire Brewery on my day off yesterday. So we've got plenty to fill. I'll call it in the morning. We'll decide how many to do. I'm really hoping that this lot are going to be much less yeasty than the last lot, because we've got the yeast upstand in there now, so keep all the sediment out. So I'll finish cleaning up, go home, back tomorrow, but you'll see me in about 1 minute. Good morning. It is Sunday. Made a start a bit late again today, but that's all right. The nights are getting lighter, so we got a bit more day to get things done. Casks have been jet washed outside and currently stacked. These are waiting for wash. These are being washed, and then once they're clean, we'll rack them on there, ready to fill them from that tank there. I've got 16 ready. I don't know whether to do 10 in cask for trade and 6 into these bottles, which I picked up yesterday from Staffordshire Brewery, Friday, from Staffordshire Brewery, or whether just to do a couple of casks worth into bottles to test if this over yeasty situation is resolved with the yeast upstand. Hope that it will be, and I'm edging towards that. I think Sarah and Elle are coming shortly. As you can see, the bottle capper is set up ready. The bottle filler just needs to be cleaned and sanitised, and the hose is connected, and we'll get some bottles filled. We're down to 27 left, I think now, or 24 bottles left of the first batch, so they went very well. Thank you very much. So I'll get this cleaning done, and then I will bring you up to date with Wednesday's tap takeover at the King's Lock. I'm just concerned we're going to fill another 500 and they'll be yeasty again. I know they won't, but they might. So I'm just going to do a couple of casks, I think. I've changed the plan. So we're probably going to go 14 into cask, 2 casks worth into bottle, and then see how they settle and clear. And if it's all good, then I'll do a brew specifically for bottling, just to catch up. But that 2 casks will give us in the region of 160 bottles, which should keep us going for a few weeks at least. So that's the updated plan. Did a couple of deliveries yesterday as well. A Murgy Straight down to the Beer Emporium Sam batch, so they'll have that on soon, hopefully. And another keg of Get Locky into Bar 6. It obviously went quite well there with the first one, so it's really good to see that the customers there seem to like it. And I spoke to Steve, he said he'd had some good reports, so that's brilliant. We've also had Get Locky on at the Queen's Head in Congleton. They received their delivery a few days ago. And also in the Delamere Street Dog in Winsford as well. They had Get Locky on as well quite recently. So seems to be the special that we produce for the King's Lock seems to have gone down quite well elsewhere. So that's sort of become a standard beer for us now, I think. The hazy pale that I homebrewed has been dry hopped now. I'm going to crash that down in the next day or so, and we'll get that into corny keg probably, just so that we can test how that went. It's looking lovely and murky right now. Not as murky as it was when it went into the fermenter, Obviously some of that sediment's dropped out now, but it's nice and hazy. And the smell when you open the fridge door is incredible. So we'll get that packaged in the next few days, hopefully, and carbonated and see how it is. Finally, the long-awaited tap takeover at the King's Lock will be on Wednesday, the 29th of March. That's this Wednesday coming. If you fancy coming down, they'll have all the beers on offer. Cask and keg, no bottles, obviously. But, cask and keg will be there. Murgy Straight, Moston Dragon, Cross Stout. Get Locky in keg and cask. I did a cask for them a while ago, so bit of a test of that one, so we'll just see. They're going to put it on. Hopefully it'll be okay. It's the first and only one we've done, so I've not even tasted it myself out of cask. I'm looking forward to trying that. And that's going to be from 6 p.m. Through to, well, whenever. I'll be there at 6 onwards. So if you're in the area, or even if you're not in the area, if you fancy coming down, please do. Happy to have a chat and talk about the brewery, the story here, beer, whatever. Yeah, come on down. Should be a good night. Okay, that took a bit longer than expected, but we're all clean. Got 16 cleaned now, ready to go. The tank's ready with the cask filling wand end on, ready to go, all sanitized. We've got lots of sanitized bits and bobs should we need them. Browsol P is waiting, and I'm doing 2. I've decided. We've just been thinking about it. I'm going to do 2 casks into bottles, and we'll see what the clarity's like and the yeast residue at the bottom. And then if it's all good, I can just do another full brew day just purely for bottles. So that is the plan now. So we'll set up here with the capper. You saw this last time. I'm probably not going to video the next part. You saw us filling them, but we'll lift them up onto here, where this one is now. There's nothing in it at the moment. And then cask tap goes in to there, which fills the tank on this, allows us to insert the bottles onto these fill heads. They drop down until it's full, and then Elliot picks them up, caps them here with the blue caps again, and puts them in the boxes. We are filling, and we're filling. So the bottles currently are looking relatively clear. And there's certainly no sediment that we had last time, bits and bobs, nuts and bolts. So quite happy with these. So the process is, as it was last time, rinse bottles off the bottle tree, place it onto the filling nozzle. The bottle will fill to the predetermined level, which is just over the 500ml marker. And overflowed a little bit, but once we take that out, I've been adjusting this a little bit. So someone's got a little bonus there, there's an extra mouthful. And then Elliot's applying the caps, as last time. And we're absolutely ripping through it. So I've been looking at this clock all day. Guess what? We're an hour wrong. So it's 6:20 now, not 5:20. Anyway, as you'll see, we are all clean and tidy. Actually, I'm lying. That tank's not clean yet. I'm going to do that tomorrow night after work. Everything else is done. We have successfully bottled 2 casks, primed in cask with some Browsol finings, gently mixed, actually just through the addition of the beer, actually, and then bottled. And it was lovely and clear going into the bottles, so I'm very hopeful these will be good. We'll keep an eye on it over the next week or so as they go through that secondary fermentation in the bottle. Additionally, we've got, as yet unlabelled, how many is there? 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 casks of Murgy Straight, so that should keep us going for a little bit. I've also got 8, a batch that's just released now from conditioning in there, and another 3 from the previous batch. So we've got loads of Murgy to last us the next month or so. In fact, maybe a little bit too much. You can never have too much Murgy though, right? I have been speaking to Brian, the landlord about this little, if you look where the red skip is over there, behind that is a double glazing, double doors, which is just a storeroom. There's nothing else in it, and in principle he's happy for me to have it, so that will allow me to move all of these cask piles plus the grain into that little next door unit there. So he's just going to come up with a price for me. If that's the case, then that basically opens up the whole unit. We can get that table back against the wall, move that stuff out, and that gives us this long sort of 5 meter run for the table down the middle. One giant communal, not communist, is it? Communal table. So there'll be no quiet little tables for two in here. You just join in with everybody else and talk to your neighbours. And I showed you the bell yesterday. I'm very happy with that. Thanks, Curly. Right, guys, that is it for today. Next weekend, probably won't be brewing because we've got this. We've got plenty of Murgy now. Might just squeeze in a Moston Dragon brew, and we won't be ready to rack the American Pale until the weekend after. So, good opportunity to get stuck into a few little jobs around here. So, I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.